I want to start today with an idea that I talked with Shmuel Silverman. I talked with him last week after class, and I think he said his idea. It's very I think brilliant and interesting idea, but also very dangerous. I would say why it's dangerous, because it could be very not I won't say not appropriate, but it could lead to some mistakes, to two different mistakes, this idea. So I will try to say it very carefully. We talked about why once Hannah called herself Amatcha, from the word Ama, and once Shifratcha, from the word Shifcha. Usually the word Ama is for Jewish, not slave, I think I prefer the word servant, Jewish servant, and Shifcha is non-Jewish servant. But what Shmuel said, that Ama also have a purpose, and the purpose of Ama is that her owner will marry her, or the owner, or the son of the owner.
Now she sets her free at the end of the. Usually it's for a debt.
Yeah.
At the end they have to marry her.
Yeah.
It's not just a debt. We said in the Chumash, you can't let her go free. It's an embarrassment. You have to marry her. You can't just let her go.
No, he can get her go for free, but the main purpose is to marry her, unless if you don't want her.
Yeah.
But the purpose of all this idea of Ama is not just for work, it's for marry her. So when she called herself Amatcha, the Ama of Eli, it's continue the relationship between them, or the relationship spirituality. And this is a dangerous statement, that what I said, because it shows us like Eli is the owner and the husband. Why it's dangerous? Because she's already married. She's married to Elkanah. Now it's very dangerous, because people could think that the father of Shmuel will be not Elkanah, will be Eli, or when we'll continue to read it, it's not Eli, it's his sons. The sons of Eli, Hofni and Pinchas, were with women. All the women that came to the Mishkan were with Hofni and Pinchas. Made those sins with all the women. So we could have think that maybe the solution of the problem, the solution is that she were with someone else. And this is, of course, it's not true. I think for that, well,
the sons of Eli really sinned with multiple women?
Yeah, we will talk about it later. It's in Perek Bet. It's one of the.
I never learned this in school.
It depends in which grade you learned it.
None of this.
All right. So we will see it in Perek Bet. I mean, if it's again another spoiler, if it will surprise you, so Hofni and Pinchas wasn't so tzaddikim. I mean, it's
Not for religion.
no. I mean, that was the opposite. And Shmuel, because of that, Shmuel continue Eli and not Hofni and Pinchas. But this is, I think, the main topic of Perek Bet. Right now, but after we will learn in Perek Bet, people could be suspicious of Hannah, that maybe Elkanah is not the father. I think for that, Elkanah is the husband. He's not the father of Shmuel. For that, if we want to be so suspicious, the story started that Elkanah have two women, and one of the women, two wives, and one of the wives, Pnina, had a lot of children, which means the problem was not Elkanah. Or if the problem was not Elkanah, the solution won't be any other man. But what Shmuel want to say, and this is a very interesting idea, that spirituality, maybe Eli was the father. Or I will say it in a different words. We learn from the Talmud in Kiddushin, Daf Lamed, Daf Kaftet, that there are three partners on each person. Aviv, the father, the mother, and God. They are the three partners. So here Eli takes the place of God. Not that he is God, he represents God when he gives the blessing of God, which means we have the father Elkanah, the mother Hannah, and God that Eli represent him. So this is maybe, so he's like a father, but the spiritual father, not the biological father. Now the second danger thing is when we want to compare it to another prophet, according to them, that was burned to a woman, that and this is according to the Christians. And they've said also that the father was God, or Ruach HaKodesh. But them also forgot the third partner of this triangle. I mean, there is just the mother and Ruach HaKodesh without a father. So for us, I think this story that Eli take the place of God here, or represent God here, and we have the two more, either Elkanah and Hannah, and this I think complete the picture. That without those two dangerous thoughts.
But when they used to speak Amatcha and Shifratcha, it's only a sign of respect. It wasn't really literal. They didn't actually mean it.
Of course, but
because just like when Yehuda tells Yosef he thinks he's the Pharaoh, he was Avdecha Avi.
Right.
Yaakov was in Eretz Israel, but we couldn't possibly be his slave.
Right, but the question was why once she used the word Amatcha and the second there was the word Shifratcha. We just summarized the idea that we talked about last class. Right, so let's continue from now. So we know again, maybe Eli was the spiritual father. Also, he will be the spiritual father as that he will educate Shmuel most of his life. So not the biological, but the spiritual father. Now we are in Pasuk in Pasuk Yutet 19. If someone could read it, please, from 19 till Kaf Gimel 23. Anyone could read the English translation? 19 to 23.
Okay.
Thanks.
They rose early in the morning and prostrated themselves before Hashem. Then they returned and came to their home to Ramah. Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and Hashem remembered her. And it happened with the passage of the period of days that Hannah had conceived, and she gave birth to a son. She named him Shmuel, for she said, I requested him from Hashem. The man Elkanah ascended with his entire household to bring to Hashem the annual offering and his vow. But Hannah did not ascend, and she told her husband, when the child is weaned, then I will bring him, and he shall appear before Hashem, and shall settle there forever. Elkanah, her husband, said to her, do what is good in your eyes, remain until you wean him, but may Hashem fulfill his word. So the woman remained and nursed her son until she weaned him.
Right. I want to talk just about two things in those psukim, and then we will continue. First, his name. A lot of commentators talk about his name, Shmuel, ki mehashem she'eltiv. She'eltiv, I request him from God. So a lot of commentators ask, so why Shmuel? If the she'eltiv, it could be another name. If you don't have any ideas, we have in this book another name called Shaul. Shaul, it's in Hebrew, it's but it's in a passive, requested Shaul. So it's exactly what Shmuel. So why they called Shmuel? Why he was called Shmuel? A lot of commentators answer that the name don't have to be exactly like the meaning. We have plenty of examples like that in the Tanakh. Like Yehuda, because ata odeh et Hashem. Odeh, Yehuda. Odeh starts with Aleph. Yehuda it's with Hey. Again, it's not the exact words, the exact letters. So it's not have to be exactly like She'eltiv. But I think that there is another answer that we can say, that it's the question which word we emphasize. It's Ki me'Hashem she'eltiv. We don't have to emphasize the word she'eltiv. We have to emphasize the word me'Hashem. El, God, which means Shmuel, Shmo, his name, El, God. And we will know again at the continuing that Shmuel will be a prophet and will represent God. So I think it's maybe it's a combination of God and a request. She'elishol, this is the name Shaul. Shmuel, right. Later, the story that they any comment?
Why don't you use the word Shema? He heard.
God,
That's what they
Shema
say.
Kale.
Isn't that-
God heard her request. No?
Shema, you said that why she didn't use it, or
Why it seems to me it's appropriate.
it seems to be, but Shema it's with Ein, and Shmuel it's without the letter Ein. So it's exactly Shmo, his name El, but it could be like that. Again, like we said, names are not exactly like what they said. That's all what all the commentators said here. The second point that I want to talk about is that they went to Shiloh without Hannah and without the kid till he grow up. Ad gomlechoto, which means till he will stop nursing. She will stop nurse him. It's approximately 24 months, 2 years. Also in the halacha, we have some halachot that nursing should take 24 months. I don't know if you do it in your life or to your kids, but in those days, that's what happened. It reminds us another story. Which story?
Yitzchak.
Yitzchak, where someone nursed him.
Son.
No, the bit more.
What?
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, it's exactly even the same words that his mother Yocheved kept him till she will finish to nurse him, and then she gave him to Bat Paro. She gave him to Bat Paro exactly like here, which means she continued to raise him, to nurse him, and then she brought him to Shiloh. Here I think it's the first point that we can see that that we can compare between Shmuel and Moshe. There will be some more points, and I think this is very interesting. We will talk about it also later. There is a pasuk in Tehillim that we say every Friday night. Moshe ve'Aaron bekohanav u'Shmuel bekorei shemo. And Moshe ve'Aaron, his priests, kohanim. Shmuel bekorei shemo. Shmuel calling the name of God. And then the Midrash said that Shmuel equal to Moshe ve'Aaron. Now this is something that we can't accept. Like we know that nobody equal to Moshe. But I think that this Midrash refers to their job, which means Moshe and Aaron both of them have two spiritual jobs. One will be the prophet, and the second will be the Kohen. And Shmuel took those two jobs together. I mean, he wasn't in the same level of Moshe or Aaron, but he took those two jobs. What?
Wasn't Shmuel Levi or was it Kohen?
Shmuel is Levi. We will see it later.
Okay.
That he took some jobs of Kohanim, or he tried to replace the Kohanim. We will see it later.
Okay.
But from even from this age that he was nursed, he was nursed. Nursed.
You mean wean?
What?
Wean?
Stop.
All right. Stop. Where is that?
To wean.
To wean?
To wean.
Win. W-I-N.
E-I-E-A-N.
W-E-A-N. All right. So since then he already we can compare him to Moshe Rabbeinu.
No, this is while he was nursed. He's not yet weaned. I think he is the breastfeed, right?
But this process to nurse and to wean, it's very equal. It's equal to Moshe Rabbeinu. There will be some more things, but I think this is very, very interesting to see. We'll talk about it later when we see another point that we can compare between them.
He was right. It also mentions about Yitzchak being weaned. There was a party that Abraham made, and that's when Sarah saw that Ishmael is making some stuff. He didn't like it. It was during that party.
Right. And then she sent Ishmael.
Right. Then she sent him away.
Send him away, and not. I mean, it's exactly the opposite. Here, they sent Shmuel or sent Moshe after he went. Right. There she sent Shmuel. Now I cannot stop myself. אני לא יכול להתאפק I have to say something about Parashat HaShavua, about sending Ishmael, even though it's not connected to the story, but this is our parasha. So
a bonus.
What?
A bonus.
A bonus. So it seems to be very weird, but I have to say something about this story. The story that they sent Ishmael, it seems to be a very weird story. Ishmael, approximately how old was he?
15 or 16.
He was 13 when Yitzchak was born. So he was approximately 15 in this age. Now, when you read this story, that Hagar took him on her head, with her hands, and throw him, and then he can't move, and all of that, it's not fit to a story about 15 years old. Because of that, Rashi said that he was ill. Rashi said it. It's not written in the Torah that he was ill. I mean, it's just because of this problem. So how can we understand it? An idea that I heard once. I won't say who told me that, because he don't agree with his own idea. But he don't agree. He said just as I have Amina. But I think it's actually pshat. This is very true. The name Ishmael doesn't appear in this story. Doesn't appear at all. Sometimes it's Bno, the son, Hayeled, Hana'ar. Never, you can't read the name Ishmael. Now, there is no, even though he is the main character in this story, not appear there. The idea is Hagar probably have some more kids. We know that Ishmael have some more brothers, some more siblings. There is a pasuk about Ishmael, al pnei kol echav nafal. Probably have some more siblings. Also, Ishmael was, according to the Torah, was tzaddik. In the end of his life, he was buried Abraham. He buried Abraham. There is some more sign that he was tzaddik. So maybe all this story is not about Ishmael. It's another son, and because it's written there, Ben Asher Yalda Hagar, that Hagar gave birth, which means gave birth lately. Could be that there was another child in the age, approximately of the age of Yitzchak, wasn't so good child, Metzachek, and then he was a toddler in the same age of Yitzchak, and Abraham banished Hagar and the son, and not Ishmael. Right? So this is the.
And where Ishmael stayed?
What?
If he didn't banish him, then what happened to Ishmael then?
It's also at the pshat that Ishmael and Yitzchak together buried Avraham. So in the later in the life of Avraham, for sure Ishmael were in Hebron. Maybe after. No, later in the history we know that all the Ishmaelim were at the desert. Ishmael and all of his siblings. This is al pnei kol echav nafal. So he joined to his siblings in the desert. But this specific story is not about Ishmael. I think also that Ishmael, probably, he specific was a good person. We can know that we have two Tanaim that called Rabbi Ishmael. One of them was Kohen Gadol. It's a name that we continue with this name. So this characteristic wasn't so negative. If you want, the next question is the Arabs, that we call them Ishmaelim. Is there descendants of Ishmael or descendants of this son that Avraham banished? This is a historical question, but not. But I talked about the pshat of the Parashat HaShavua.
So the brothers, the siblings of Ishmael were also Abraham's children?
Obviously, yes. I mean, the children of Avraham and Hagar. Yeah. All right. Let's continue. Continue the story. Let's read Pasuk Kaf Daled Kaf Hey. Kaf Daled Kaf Hey, two psukim, 24-25. Someone could read. Anyone?
Well, I read it. Okay.
Right.
When she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh. And the child was young, and they slew a bullock and brought the child to Eli, and she.
Let's hold it in a minute.
Okay.
Again, two things. the child was young, it's written Hana'ar Na'ar. The word Na'ar in the modern Hebrew is teenager. Probably in the Tanakh is not teenager. It's, or someone that growing up, it could be growing up as a toddler. Or growing up, but very, I think it's called mitbager. Mitbager, today it's called teenager, Gila Itbagut. Gila Itbagut, the age that you become to be more mature. Usually we use it in the modern Hebrew and also in the Western world. We're talking about the teenagers, but more mature is also toddlers. Now, to use the term na'ar here, it's also very, I said, unique word. The same word we can read about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, when Bat Paro find Moshe Rabbeinu, it's written that Vatiftach Vatireu et hayeled. She opened the teiva, this little boat, and saw the kid. Veine na'ar boche. And suddenly she said, it's not just a kid, it's na'ar. So again, we can connect between them. Another interesting thing. Now, what I say now, I'm not sure that it's a pshat. You can take it as a drash if you want, my own drash. So it's you don't have to accept it. Why it's written that she brought shlosha parim, 3 bulls, three bulls, cows, eifa v'nevel yain. It means three cows and 2 vegetarian sacrifices. Why it's written? Again, just a drash. You can write it. Let's just skip to Perek Bet, pasuk. Just a minute.
Did you say Na'ar was really a toddler?
No. It could be a toddler. I think if Na'ar, it's someone that developed. Now it could be in the time that he become to be developed with Moshe. The commentators ask if it developed in his voice, in his movements, moving, or in his body. But I suppose nobody thinks that Moshe, when he was 3 months old, he was developed like teenager. I suppose they said that he was developed for this age, which means almost like a toddler and not like just like a baby. I think this is their story. Also here, she brought him when he was 2 years old, approximately. So when it's written Na'ar, maybe developed kid, maybe very soft kid, maybe something like that, but it's still in his process, when he learning to be mature, more mature. Developed. Let's see Perek Bet, pasuk Kaf Aleph, 21. Pakad Hashem et Chana, God remembered Chana. Vatahar, she got pregnant. Vateled, she gave birth. Shlosha banim ushtei banot, 3 boys and 2 girls. Right? Remind you something? 3 boys, 2 girls, 3 cows, 2 vegetarian sacrifices. No, it could be drash, but I would say more than that. Those 3 boys, it's including Shmuel or not including Shmuel? Probably, I think that it's including, because when it's written Ki Pakad Hashem, it's what we called in English past perfect, which means let's talk about the beginning. At the beginning, she have 3. When we summarize it, 3 boys and 2 girls, like 3 cows and 2 vegetarian. Now, if this is the drash, you don't have to accept it. It's very scary to read the next pasuk. Next pasuk that we read in pasuk Kafei, Vayishchatu et apar. They sacrifice 1 cow. And if you don't understand what is the sacrifice 1 cow, the second part of the pasuk is Vayaviu et anar el heli. She brought Shmuel to Shiloh. She sacrificed 1 bull. She brought the first kid to Shiloh. Very similar. She liked sacrifice him. So this could be drash, or could accept it.
It doesn't say what happened to the other 2 cows. It doesn't mention what happened to the other. No, I'm just asking.
No, it doesn't mention. And also, it doesn't mention what happened to the siblings of Shmuel.
Yeah. Okay.
All the siblings, we don't know what happened to them.
So when you're making this connection with the sacrifice of the cow and that she brought Shmuel, so is one like balancing the other one? So is the cow for Shmuel, or is Shmuel instead of a cow, or is he in addition to the cow? Like, you could take it like, if you want to say he's not part of the 5, well, then she shafted the cow instead of him, so then there were 5 more.
Right, it could be. I think that this is a kind of metaphor, which means we have to think about Shmuel as someone that was sacrificed. Now, obviously, we don't have we in the Judaism we can't we're not sacrificing people, but the way to sacrifice him, that now he will stay on Shiloh, on the Mishkan, and he will serve God there. I mean, this is to sacrifice him. If you want, also we will see that this is not such a good place to be or to live in the Mishkan. So it's a very big sacrifice.
Yeah, but she sacrificed him maybe so she could have more children. She gave up 1, but she had another 4 or 5.
Right, but I don't know if she knew that in this point, but this was her neder, her vow. So.
But she did bring 3 bulls, so she must have known, or that she was going to have.
Or maybe she prayed for 3.
Yeah.
She hoped that she will have 3.
Don't you bring 3, like one is baby chatas and one is a shalom? You have to bring certain. I don't know exactly.
I
don't know. I'm asking. I'm saying, and I'm asking.
Korban yoledet.
Yeah, korban yoledet is echad lechatat ve'echad leola. 2.
Right.
But it have to be 2 birds, 2 birds, and it have to be 2 birds. Maybe in addition she brought also korban yoledet. I don't know.
No,
but the 3 cows, it's something unique.
3 cows. But one is for 3 different purposes. Like one is for. I don't know. I'm asking. One is for whatever.
Yeah, but it's written that vayishchetu et hapar echad. I mean, it's written that they sacrifice just one of them. I don't know what's happening with the 2, but if it's written that they sacrifice just one,
that could be a generic term for all of them. A par could be just like.
No, but is it vayishchetu et hapar?
One, yeah.
Vayishchetu et hapar. It seems to be that just one. Right now she explained it to explained now to Eli. Someone want to read the 3 other the 3 last psukim in the perek?
I'll do it. I'm in a roll.
Thanks.
Okay. And she said, "O my Lord, as thou soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying to the Lord for this child. I prayed, and the Lord has given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore also I have presented him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be devoted to the Lord." And he bowed down to the Lord here.
Right.
And he bowed down. I guess that's the child. That's true.
Yeah, this is a child. So again, 2 things. One of them, she said, "I am the woman." Why she have to mention it? Because they passed approximately 3 years. I mean, he blessed her before she got pregnant. A year of pregnant and 2 years till that she nursed him. Maybe also he thought maybe it didn't succeed because he didn't see this woman. So now she reminds him, bring him the kid, and also if we read it in the Hebrew version, it's the key word is the verb shaul, lishol, sha'alti, all the time. This request, right? Any questions, comments, something about Perek Aleph?
There's certain korbanos that are only for the Kohen Gadol, right? Like, for example, on Yom Kippur,
yes,
and I think also Rosh Hashanah, and also for the Sanhedrin, if they make a mistake, they have to also have a korban. Mm-hmm. So it may not be that it's strictly for her. She may be giving it to Eli for some other purposes, but
what the first cow?
2 cows.
The 2 cows.
Yeah. Also, Abraham also had three bulls, I think. In the Brisbane Habasorim, I think.
Yeah, 3 bulls. Yeah.
So there's a significance that's not just attached to her, but to the Kohen.
Yeah, we don't know what the other two symbolize. I mean, we can find a lot of symbolic things in those three. Like we said at the beginning, it could be one for God, and the other two is one for her, one for her husband. It could be like Brit Ben Abtarim. It could be a lot of symbolic things.
Maybe it's lunch for the next year.
Maybe it's lunch. Maybe they work with the cows and didn't sacrifice them. Because again, we didn't read that they sacrificed them. They sacrificed just one, so we don't know exactly. By the way, the flour and the wine, it's because like every olah that bring with mincha u'nesachim, flour and wine. So it's to be together. So because of that, I said just that it's a drash. What I said, because it's just an idea, what it could symbolize, not the exact. Yes.
Isn't the last the 28, the pasuk, the last pasuk, doesn't seem to be repeating the thing? Didn't she already say? And I also asked for him, and didn't she?
It could be repeating, or.
And what's the difference between Chavzayin and Chavchet?
Kafchet said kol hayamim, for all over the day, all over his life. Right?
Oh.
He means all over his life. And the end, Vayishtachu Sham LaHashem, that they bow to God, and this is something more symbolic that this is the end. But I think it's summarized or giving the end that this is for good.
It's not a repetition. It's a play on words, right?
Sha'alti v'hesh'iltiu.
Right. Sha'alti. I requested Shiltu might make that happen. I made a loan to somebody.
Made a loan.
It's a part where she uses the word. I asked it from God, and I'm therefore returning it in God. And if I'm being mashil to Him,
or maybe even it's kind of confusing us. Who borrowed to who? I mean, if God borrowed her and she now bring him back, or she will lend him to God and lend him without getting him his back because it's for good. Right. Let's continue to the next parak. Next parak, starting with the tefillah of Hannah. Tefillat Hannah. The second tefillah, we saw that she prayed for asking for a child. We don't know exactly what she said. I mean, you can guess what she said, but we don't know the words. Here it's tefillah shel todah. Thanks, davening, praying. We're not. Forgive me if we will not learn this. Because I think it's difficult words, difficult. I want to continue with the story, so we won't read. We won't learn the tefillah. I just want to say two things about tefillah. The main topic, the essence of this tefillah is saying that you will never know. You will never know what will be your situation. You could be without kids and suddenly you have a lot of kids. You could be with a lot of kids and suddenly they will die. And because of that, the Midrash said that the kids of Pnina had died. This is the Midrash said. You can be rich and suddenly you will be poor, and the opposite, which means you will never know. The only thing that you can relate of, that you can depend on, is God. And this is her tefillah. Now, this I think leads to the last pasuk. The last pasuk of the tefillah is pasuk Yud, the end of pasuk Yud. V'yiten oz lemalko v'yarem keren meshicho. V'yiten oz will give power, will give strength to the king. V'yarem keren meshicho will raise maybe the honor of the Mashiach. Now Mashiach, I think it's not exactly what we call Mashiach. Mashiach is a different word for a king, because
anointed.
What?
She was anointed.
Anointed?
Anointed oil.
Okay, with oil. Yeah. So this is the Mashiach. She's talking about the king, that God will give the honor to the king. This could be very weird, because we don't have a king yet. There is no king. She's talking about the honor of our kingdom.
But isn't the keren the actual thing that he used to
Yeah, Yarem Keren Meshicho, it's a term, it's an expression, but it could be also Yarem Keren Meshicho he will how to say raise this Keren and oil to say, how to say?
Oil, shemen. Oil.
Yeah, will oil the king, anoint the king. So she's talking about that before we started talking about kings. Now we know, like we said in the introduction to this book, that this book, the topic of the book is the beginning of the kingdom. Now this beginning of the kingdom we see in the last pasuk of Tfilat Hana, talking about this kingdom. So maybe she wished that there will be something like that. She wished for that. We will read it later that the Plishtim in those times was ruled on Israel, ruling Israel, ruled over Israel in those times. This was the main problem, the main political or national problem of Am Yisrael, and someone have to solve this problem. So now, when she talked about that, you will never know. I mean, even if you are in a very bad situation, it could be suddenly, in a minute, that God will turn it off. We'll turn it around. So now it's not just something personal. It's something national that it could happen. And the interesting thing that who will do it? Shmuel Yarem Keren Meshicho. He will crown the first king. He will do it. Her own son. So this, I think, it's almost like a prophecy. Almost like a prophecy that you're talking about the political situation. I think if we're talking about the much more modern days, we can see it what we have last century on the 40s. That in 45 the Jewish nation was still in Auschwitz, and 3 years later we have a state. So it's something like that. It's much faster than what we have here. I mean, here she's saying that Tfilah when Shmuel was a baby. When he will be an adult, I don't know exactly in which age, he will crown Shaul. So it will take more than 3 years. But we see the main purpose of the story here. We started this, like we said, with a very private story, private family, and the person that made this change to switch it to a national story was Hannah in the last pasuk.
Right? So it's a parallel it's a parallel for the story of the Jewish people in this book. Hannah's story is a parallel for the Jewish kingdom and the Jewish people.
Like that she.
It's a model. What happened to her is a model for what's going to happen in the rest of the book. Later, the way she came, she was downtrodden, had nothing, and she turned around and became. Or she raised herself in a short period of time.
Yes.
That's going to happen here as well.
Yes. So this is one motive that will go back. There is some other motives in this motive. You say?
Moral. I think
motives.
It's moral.
Also, some motive like the vows that the vows. If the people think that they did it or will praise God about what happened, this will go back again. Came back again. This story.
Motif, maybe.
Motif?
With an F.
What?
With an F. Motif.
Motif? Alright. In Hebrew it's with bet of motif. So it's alright. Alright, we have 5 minutes to start with the sins of Bnei Eli. Alright? Vayelech Elkanah. And with in Pasuk Yud Aleph 11. Elkanah went back to the Ramah, to his house. Ve'ana'ar, the kid or the teenager or the kid, the child. Haya mesharet et Hashem. Mesharet et Hashem, serve God, which means Shmuel serve God. Et pnei Eli HaKohen. What does it mean? Et pnei? In front of Eli HaKohen. Uvnei Eli bnei Belial. Bnei Belial.
Worthless.
What is Bnei Belial?
Worthless.
Idle.
Worthless.
I
Belial is worthless. It should be wicked.
Wasn't Brielle an idol?
Worthless man.
I think it could be a lot of translations. Also in Hebrew, let's summarize it. Something that you don't want that people that will written on your grave after we die. All right. By the way, we saw this term.
Isha Belial, she said it.
Yeah, she said it when Eli thought that she is drunk. Said, "Don't think that I'm Bat Belial." Some of the commentators said that there she referred to Pnina, that she is Bat Belial, Pnina is Bat Belial, but it's not a good thing to be.
What is it exactly?
What?
What is it exactly?
Corrupt.
Corrupt?
Is it
I don't know exactly. I mean, it's always mushchatim, corrupt, but we said the word from where it's come from. I don't know if it's the really explanation, but bli is without. Ya'al, maybe it's Ya'il in Hebrew, but I think, I'm not sure, maybe it's just in the modern Hebrew. Ya'il is useful. Bli Ya'al,
It's all.
useless.
It's all. Bli all.
Or bli all. All,
Yoke.
all, yeah, but all, it's also, we're talking about all as authority. Don't get authority. This is bli Ya'al. Without all, don't get any authority, and this is very fit to the story.
So they didn't serve God, you mean? They didn't believe, they didn't
Didn't listen to God, didn't listen to their father, didn't listen to anyone. And we see it here. Didn't listen to God, it's the end of this pasuk. Lo yadu et Hashem, didn't know God. Now, the two sons of the Kohen Gadol that don't know God, this is saying everything.
But Hanan be saying to Eli, I'm not the Blial here, your sons are the Blial. Like, don't look at me, look at your own sons. Could be a criticism.
She didn't say that.
Well,
Maybe she meant it, maybe she didn't know it. She didn't know it. Maybe, I think if she would have known who ruling this Mishkan, I'm not sure that she would have sent Shmuel to this place as a toddler. That who will educate him there? Now Eli was tzaddik. He was, but his own sons that we can see that they control what happened there. There was exactly the opposite.
Did he have other children, or he only had these two children?
We don't know about other children. No, we don't have about other children. We will read later about one descendant of him that will survive, but we don't know about other.
Do the Meforshim talk about why the children went off the derech?
Not just the Meforshim, also the Pshat. The Pshat saying why they're off the derech, and I think that this is one of the main lessons of education for parents is this perek. I mean, the reason why they are off the derech, I think it's a reason that repeats again and again not in our life. I mean, I'm sure that all of your children are very, very righteousness, but other people's life have the same problem. So we will. I think we will read it next week.